What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. This is Crypto in the Morning, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. No questions asked. People, when I started this, they were like, "You're going to do it every day?" I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "That's going to be so hard." And I was like, "No." You know why? Because it's not hard. When you love what you're doing, I don't know if there's anything I'd rather be doing right now. That's a really good point sometimes, because you got to, it's kind of the ethos of this episode too. It's like, I've actually figured out a way. Hear me out. I've figured out a way to do exactly what I want to do. Exactly. What do I want to do every single morning? Talk about crypto with my friends. Literally. That's all I want to do until about noon. And that is all I do until about noon. And I created that. I manifested that because this is what I wanted. I'm not saying that, it's the best idea for whatever in the world, but I get to wake up every day and do what I please. And man, I love it. It's incredible. Guys, we're in a bear market. Everyone's pissing their pants for no reason. Everyone needs a good reminder. But at the same time, I also want to talk about how dare I trading the bear market, like a little bit, match XYZ. But we got Jake here. Jake's been on an absolute roll. I want to know what his stack is. And but he's been on an absolute roll. He's been putting out content like crazy. His tag is below, and I'm going to drop. He was on here once before, guys. A lot of you guys know Jake. For those who don't, we're going to post all his stuff below. He's on YouTube and Twitter. He's in the RH ecosystem, and he's an absolute alpha male. And he doesn't really care about what everyone else thinks, which we really appreciate here at Crypto in the Morning, because we don't give an absolute shit what anyone thinks as well. We just want the best for ourselves, the best for our families, and the best, for the world, I guess. Like, there's nothing else to do. Like, you can't kill people. You can't do crazy shit. You have to follow the rules. And when guys get to a certain age, they start following the rules really hard. And then we start making the rules. Guys, I don't know what tangent I'm going on. I went out last night. I had a couple drinks with my friends. I'm a little tired, but I'm absolutely locked and loaded, ready to go, guys. 1 minute and 9 seconds. We have DeFi proof. The Crypto in the Morning banger, the official summer banger for all of crypto.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking no blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready set me to show you the way. DeFi Pro, Crypto in the morning. 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 Crypto in the morning.
Yo, what's
Boom,
good,
just
bro?
sent that Instagram post locked and loaded. Done.
That's good. I've been learning about a lot of super awesome things. Did you know in crypto there's a way, and I'm not advocating people do this, but there's a way you can actually front run transactions using all the information that's out there. So you have to understand what front running is and what it means. Like, why would somebody want to front run? Because there's profit to be made.
What are they front running?
Front running. So like,
No, but
what happens if there's a large market order?
If somebody, like, if I put a big limit order in,
yeah, or if you just put in a market order, if you put in a large market order, what happens to the price?
there will be slippage and the price will go down.
Yeah, but well, if it's your selling price, it goes down. If you're buying,
If your buying goes up, all right.
That information is public. So if I know you have a
about
large
Coinbase,
no, you see this in Etherscan.
oh.
So if I know you're going to place a large market order and I know when it's going to be. I get to see what your GUI is. How do you choose like when a transaction is going to go through? How much GUI is getting paid? So I can put an order right before you with one less GUI or one more GUI than you. So that means I go through first and I buy right in front of you, and then one right after you. So GUI -1, and that way I get you get sandwiched.
How much staring at a screen am I going to have to do to?
We don't need it. I can talk about it more generally.
I know, but I mean,
I'm interested.
How many seconds? Cool. How many seconds do you know before the transaction?
Well, you, as the transaction who pushed market order to go through to buy something, you don't know. You just see that you got slippage. Yeah. I get that profit. I can go in front of you and take that profit and immediately sell it.
All right.
But we don't need to necessarily get into
the details, but that's super
interesting. It's super interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah, any strategies are good, interesting, and you should join the Hex trading chat. That's what they talk about, shit like that. And they're really smart. Guys, we have Jake in the background. He's in makeup. He wants to come out. He's ready to show himself. We haven't talked to him in about a month. Guys, we're going to have an episode. I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go, but I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now. The general sentiment is that the bear market has more to go, and I totally agree with it. So I hope I'm not just like a little dork that just agrees with the public sentiment. But in the macro environment that we're in, it feels like we're going to be down for a while, unless there's all-time high numbers in inflation, which there could be, by the way. Like, that is possible. And if I do see all-time highs in inflation, there's going to be a crazy pump. Guys, let's get him in here real quick. I'm just being.
Yo, what's up?
Yo.
How you doing, man? I see you popping up and coming along. Congrats, man. I like the progress you're making, bro. How is it going?
It's going good. Easy, light work.
Yes, sir.
Yep, that's how we do it.
I want to. Somebody asked a question, and I just wanted to answer this real quick before I forget. I told them I would. How can I get that Richard Hart song? Where can they download it? Does anybody know?
It's not available for download. You can go to DeFi Proof's YouTube channel, and you can figure out how to download, the YouTube video from there and turn it into a track. But you won't be able to find it on Spotify, iTunes, or any of that stuff yet. There's a reason behind it that he told me. I'm not going to share it here. But if you want it, go to his YouTube page and download the YouTube video.
DeFi.
I'll post it in the chat.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Jake. What's up, bro? How you doing, man? How is everything going? How are you liking the progress? I know you had mentioned right beforehand that when people get into YouTube, that they don't really kind of treat it as a business, right? And you're treating this as a business. How is that going? Like, what do you feel you're doing differently than other people?
I feel like I just take things seriously, because when you start a YouTube channel and you want to grow it big, because like Jim Rat, he has a schedule, He takes the shit seriously. So the thing you kind of have to think about when it comes to YouTube and being a creator is you get a hell of a lot of views, and you have the opportunity to either change or wreck somebody's life. So you need to take it seriously, because people listen to you. This is a similar effect, like a celebrity effect, especially in crypto. If you have like 5,000 viewers, those are 5,000 investors. Those are not normal people. We're talking about money here. So you have to treat it like a business. You have to build a team once you start making some money with the YouTube channel. And that's how you grow. Because one thing I started noticing is I interact a lot with like money Twitter. So I found out that like 30% of my community are not pulsicans or hexagons. They're just like normal dudes like me who are into entrepreneurship, who do like email marketing, business, entrepreneurship, traveling the world. And yeah, we hold a lot of responsibility. So people need to take it seriously, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The first thing people that like pretend they have a lot of money usually do is they like, or not pretend, but like, they just say, I don't want to take this seriously because it's not that serious to me. Well, you could say that about anything in your life. You could say that about your relationships. Like, oh, this girl's not that serious to me. Or what if she is that serious to you? What if you treated it like she was that serious to you? Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe it's not what you're saying is the problem. I'm so fucking sick of people with horrible lifestyles telling me alpha. Like, you don't know alpha. You know fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, people say, while they're, doing whatever they're doing, never sleeping, never eating right, never working out, never drinking water, but they're telling me what's good. I'm like, you need to ask me what's good, motherfucker. You're going to die. You care more about your stupid hex stakes than you do about your heart health. I'm not, and to me, heart health I would throw everything away if someone said I had an issue with my heart, because I know I could get that back. You don't get your heart back. And people don't get it right. They don't think it through. So I just wanted to talk about that. The public sentiment in crypto is like, everyone's upset because the price goes down. Like there's a Jesus Christ over everyone. And I'm like, well, there's no one to blame. It's a market. Your problems are on you, buddy. You over leveraged yourself. You're the fucking moron. I'm so sick of people blaming people for shit. I ain't never blamed a person for shit. I just take the L and move on. It's faster that way.
So, I think this is a good topic that we can kind of move into a little bit more. In this moment in time, we have like this macro recession that we're in. I know you're in Europe, so I don't know if you guys are feeling the same type of sentiment, but we're going through like a recession, right? Where prices are just skyrocketing for everyday shit. You have this phrase, the great resignation that's going on, as in like I quit 3 years ago from working in banking, right? And there's people who are leaving the marketplace every single day that are never, ever going to go back and work traditionally. And there's a lot of people who work side hustles. So I think this is a good conversation because we can take this and expand upon this. How does somebody take their side hustle and treat it more serious? But like, because you can say these things, right? But some people just don't know what to do. They don't know what actions you're like, treat it seriously. And they're like, okay, like, what do I do? Like, and I say this because Bullish, right? Bullish is very helpful online stuff. And so I like learning every day about like doing stuff with e-commerce. And he's like, yeah, it's just this thing. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, and he's like, oh, we do that. And then he points me in a specific direction to move forwards. And sometimes I think that's easier because when somebody's noob, right? They're a pleb, as you'd say in crypto, the direction to go is unclear. They're like, treat it serious or take action or do whatever. And they're just like, okay, let me watch more YouTube videos because they don't know what to fucking do. So what are some directions or things we can point them in to take their side hustle, whatever it is, and start taking action to like improve that, right? Because like that's what really is going to be valuable.
Yes, I think so. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, yeah, so that's a super good question. I can give a lot of alpha when it comes to this because so I've been in business for 7 years, and the thing that I've learned in business is usually everybody knows exactly what they need to do. They just don't do it. Yes. Like, for instance, if you're running some kind of consulting thing or agency or you do some kind of service business, well, all you need to do is either make more calls, send more DMs, send more emails, send more X. You have to increase the number of outbound. You have to put yourself into the market. A lot of people are afraid of doing that. They're like, oh, wait, let me change the color of my website. It's like, no, that won't do anything. So Alex Hormozi is like a very big mentor of mine, and I absolutely love the guy. And he has this rule of 100. And he says a lot of people, so the rule of 100 is basically if you want to grow your business, you do 100 DMs a day. And he says that, and he posts this online, and people come back to him like, okay, Hormozi, I did it. I did 100 DMs in 8 weeks. And he's like, 8 weeks? Like, no, you have to do that per day. And they're like, huh? So you have to like reset to have very realistic expectations. I'm very used to sales. I'm not afraid of getting rejected or laughed at or hated because I've done door-to-door sales. That's about as hardcore as it gets. Yeah. So all of this online stuff just doesn't scare me. And I like putting things into perspective because I posted this tweet today and I was like, there are people who have suffered at the hands of concentration camps and they're living and they're healthy. And these people know true suffering. The fact that you send an email or do a DM or record a video is not suffering. So I like putting things
really hard is not suffering. Doing anything that we're doing is not suffering. It's all fun, kind of. Yep. Like I don't know what else to do other than business. I don't enjoy much else other than hanging out with friends and working out and, family and stuff. But like, it's crazy because when it comes to the business, like the workload that you put in kind of directly proportional to how much you care. People think it's about how much money you need. It's not. If you have enough money to live, most people just suck after that because they just don't know how to handle it. They just stop there because it's it gets a little fishy. You have to make more decisions and it's easier just to spend more money at the moment anyway. So I think it's all about caring about what you're doing. I could only do my work directly proportional to exactly what I cared about. there's about 3 things that I can do in this world at this point, and it's the 3 things that I care about the most. And one of them is DeFi. So I was just like, I'm going to go all in. And I took it seriously from the start. And when everyone else, you know, a lot of people were just, it's a hobby, it's this, it's that. I said, this ain't no hobby. For me, like, this is not a hobby. Like, I'm taking over. Like, I'm doing what I can. I'm going to try as hard as I can. And I told everyone, day one, I said, I am going to push as hard as I possibly can. And they all, you know, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Because I know you know, I just wanted to show people that you're allowed. And Richard kind of showed me in a way. He's like, you're allowed to punch harder. You're allowed to make a new product. You're allowed to just do it. And I was like, fuck it. Like, let's go. Like, I want to support this in whatever way and see what happens. And like, I could send 100 DMs a day without even thinking about it, because I literally do that probably. Like, I love to DM people and ask them questions. And I reach out to people all the time. I ask celebrities all the time if they'll come on the show. I know they won't answer. I've asked Dana White.
One person will answer.
Guess who gets a StreamYard link every single show? Richard Hart.
Nice.
Every single show. Just because on one of these days he'll pop on. And it'll be lit.
But you say something very, very important. That's like the saying, there's a quote, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yes.
So the people that slack at one thing usually slack at everything else in their life. I've always had a very obsessive personality type. So even in my relationships, I was the type of dude that was buying like Tony Robbins' relationship material. I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the absolute best of my ability. Because what else? What else are you going to do, you know? If you're doing it, at least do it to the best of your ability. If you're in the gym, go hard. Don't go in the gym and then be like, okay, I'm in the gym now. And then,
how did you get to that point where your emotions were no longer controlling your life? Because I think as a young man, there's a point in every young man's life where your emotions are making the calls for you, and you have to kind of get beat up a little bit through the years, and then you realize you're like, this shit's a little bit more like a game. And that's where I got, like, once I figured out the emotional piece, it was over. I was off to the races. I was working with Sam for years trying to get over some bull S that made no difference. And he knew that, but he knew it's just like, everyone goes through that kind of shit. What about in your life? When did it change from being like, just like, oh, here we are on this world, to like, I'm going to just do what I need to do because nothing really fucking else to do at this point?
ooh, that's a super personal question.
Good question.
So, yeah, exactly. The thing
Good
that
context
changed.
too. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So the thing that changed my life was learning how to fight. And why I learned how to fight was basically, so I had a pretty rough upbringing. I got beat up by my stepdad. I got beat up in school, stuff like that. I was a skinny kid. I had no muscle at all. I could not defend myself. I couldn't even look a girl in the eye without crying and running away. Like, that's
Thank
who I
you for
was.
saying that. It's important, and I think it's a lot of people's experience, including mine, with social anxiety.
Exactly. And then the thing that kind of changed it for me is after school, I went to like the corner. I was walking around with my girlfriend, and she was kind of hot at the time. I had no clue how I pulled it off, by the way. It's like a friend kind of forcing it on me. I'm like, I'll take it.
You're Jake Sharpe. You just didn't know it yet.
So after school, I went to a corner and we were talking a little bit. I was standing up on my bike, and all of a sudden, this like group of like 4 guys came up to us. They started beating me up. They like pushed me off my bike and they started kicking and punching me. And I literally froze up. I could do nothing at all. I froze up. I was like, I had like a panic attack and everything. And they went up to my girlfriend. Luckily, they didn't do anything to her. But at that point, I just realized that these guys could have come up and literally raped my girlfriend right in front of me. And I was not man enough to do anything about it. And dude, I literally cried myself to sleep for like 3 weeks straight after that. Because I'm like, is this who I am? Like,
and you could have just hid from that. You could have hid from that. Most people would have hid from that, moved on, different girl, different situation, just forget about it. But that hurt you personally because you are actually a critic in your own life. You weren't just trying to make the pain go away. You wanted to know how to make it better. But it hurt. That was I can feel what you felt in that moment. I say stuff like that all the time. I used to be a little bit of a risky biscuit myself, and I would run around and do whatever. And I have seen some weird shit, and I know what people are capable of doing. And it's ever since I don't know, the whole fighting thing and defending yourself, it's real. If people don't want to believe it's real, just wait. You'll see something and it'll change the way you feel about your interaction with people. So you see someone get stabbed up real good. And it'll change the way you feel about another man talking to your kid at the park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So telling you guys, it's just
So you confronted. I had a strange interaction yesterday afternoon. I can tell you afterwards. This
Please.
lunatic just started exploding at me, and it was. I'll get into it afterwards, but it was
Did
just
you practice
literally.
the escalation?
No, I was like, I will break you, bitch. Like I will fucking destroy you. And he just keeps coming, and then
Was he like a little bit maybe on a drug or something?
I don't know. I thought so because literally
You would have to be on some drugs.
You gotta be like, "What's up, bro?" I like got something in my hand. I was like, "What's up, bro? Come at me, dude. I will fucking destroy you." Like, what is your problem?
We need to practice
Anyways.
a little more de-escalation.
yes. Well, I kind of want to just break somebody, right? But anyways, Jake, get back into your story. So this didn't sit well with you, right? Like not doing something and being a man about it didn't sit well with you, and like for several weeks you were saying,
Dude, I was literally crying myself to sleep. I was it just felt weird because I think I posted this tweet and it was so true. It's like the most powerful word you can ever tell yourself is like, this is not who I am. I'm better than that. And a lot of people have this identity issue where they feel like they're not better than that. But the thing that fighting taught me, and I was a competition fighter for 5 years. And the thing that fighting taught me is even when you're losing, even when you get your ass beat, you can barely see the sweat in your eyes, there's a taste of blood in your mouth, you're breathing, your heart is pumping, adrenaline is dumping. All of this stuff, like, it doesn't matter. Even if it's like a competition fight and there's a referee and you can tap and everything like that and everything is safe, you realize that, holy shit, if I quit now and we're on the street, I'm dead. That's it. So in fighting, you learn to push past boundaries. You're like, okay, if I give up here, I'm dead. I'm literally dead. There's no other option. You just keep going.
And
Get
if you
back on
want to
top.
be a leader, which you did, you wanted to be a leader in your head. Maybe you didn't know what that looked like at the time, but you knew if I am going to be the person that I want to be, I have to tackle this.
Yep.
And you could have hid from it and just played video games and fucked off like everyone else.
Yep. Which I did. And I fought.
Which is, yeah, that's a great.
go ahead. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you were saying.
Yeah, so I think fighting is by far and away the best sport you can ever do. Because also, like, if you go to a fighting gym, one thing you'll learn is, like, the best fighters I know, that will absolutely murder anybody that comes in front of them. Like, the best fighters I know, they are the most friendly, respectful, down-to-earth people. It's insane. And then the people who are the loudest are usually the worst fighters out of them all. And you see this, like, and this is like in a nightclub scenario. If you see a fight happen, just look around and look at who is the calmest. And the calmest guys stay as far away from him as humanly possible, or make sure he's on your side.
And he watches too, and watch the guys that pay attention. When you are in your area, you must pay attention if you're a leader and you are a man. You must look at doorways. You must look at who's in the room. You must check their waistlines. I don't care what you guys say. It's like when I'm out, I'm a laser, boy. I am looking around. I'm de-escalation the whole entire time. I am the leader of my situation. If something goes wrong, it is on me. I must de-escalate. So last night, for example, I probably left around 11. I was in the back left corner checking everything. All my friends walking around. I had a great time. It was amazing. I talked to everyone, sat there, I had a few drinks, danced a little bit. But the whole time I'm trying to put myself in a position where I'm more aware. I'm not saying I'm going to do anything crazy, but I need to be more aware in my life. And that's something that I'm working on. I used to be reckless. I didn't give a shit. And I had to get away from that. It took me years. I didn't know if I left my house if I'd smack the shit out of someone or get my ass beat. I really didn't, because I was a fucking pissed off guy and I hated my life. Frankly, I got my ass beat so bad at Jimmy John's when I was 19 years old. This dude, he was talking crap to me. He's probably 6'2" black guy, way bigger than me. He grabbed me by my shirt, held me above his head, and smashed me in front of all the Navy SEALs down by the harbor on the silver thing where they do the sandwiches. And he said, "I will murder you if you ever say another word to me." And he would have. And I never fought with a guy ever since then, ever again. Never picked a fight. Because he was right. And he looked at me in that moment. And he knew I didn't know exactly what was going on. Like, I didn't know who I was dealing with, basically. Because he was just wearing Jimmy John's shit. And he said he would kill me. And he was local. And I said, I knew he would. And I never fucked off again after that. I'll tell you what.
I'm more of the guy. I don't get into fights with people.
You're 6'4" and 250 pounds of pure muscle. I would be so afraid.
I don't like. Other people can fight, but I don't. It's not my thing. But I want to finish getting into Jake's story here.
Sorry for interrupting so much.
You're good. So you were saying, going through this development phase, and you decided to make some changes.
Yep. So when it comes to the actual changes, I've kind of started to get popular because back when I was like a peak performance coach, I did it for like half a year to a year for like multimillionaires, and I would work on their identity, because identity is a thing that subconsciously runs your life. When people say subconscious, that means identity. That's all it is. It's who you think you are, and you will never surpass your identity.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
Sure.
So I designed this system based on everything I've done. I've done like the amount of coaching programs I've been in. It's insane. And I call it the evolution of self. That's kind of the method I've kind of developed for myself. And I've essentially killed myself 14 times over. I'm basically at like Jake 15.0 now. And I literally call it like that. I label my old self and I essentially murder it. And I bury it and then I move on. Because here's something interesting, right? I don't know the exact number, but at every day and every second and every minute, cells in your body are dying and new cells are being born. Which means every couple weeks, or whatever the exact thing is, you have a new body. You just choose to believe you're the same person based on your past. Your body becomes an entirely new body. So why do you need to be the entirely same person? Like the Jake that was that skinny dude that couldn't even talk to girls, that had no friends, that was scared of everything, that got his ass beat. That's not who I am now. That's no longer a part of my life trajectory. He already died like 9 years ago at this point. And same thing happened with sales, same thing happened with the marketing agency. I always kind of designed like, this is the identity. This is who I need to be. This is who I need to become. And then I do all of my exercises every day to focus on that identity and walk and talk and think like that identity. And it's essentially, so Kobe Bryant, you all know Kobe Bryant, right?
R.I.P.
Yep, greatest of all time. And he had this idea of an alter ego. He called himself Mamba. And this alter ego, when he would put on the shirt of Mamba, he forgot that he was Kobe. He was Mamba at that point. And so a lot of people can do this. That's what I did in the beginning for like door-to-door sales. Is I call it NK, which is why my nickname is NK. NK is the person that has no fears, that has no emotions, that does what needs to get done, that pushes past boundaries, that, it's kind of an alpha in the world, right? And every time I would be scared, I was like, okay, Jake, step away. It's time for NK to step up. And this whole like alter ego thing is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful.
You're almost making it more you're like in a more efficient way organizing your life journey so it happens quicker and more effectively. Like, because some people keep an identity for years and years and years, and then they slowly morph out of it. But you're kind of identifying the process and cutting it off. You're like, I know this part is not going to be beneficial for me in this moment, so you're almost identifying your consciousness a little bit and like doubling back on it. And it's so interesting. And we have a perfect person to transition into this absolutely insightful conversation. Guys, biceps in the chat for Access Live. He's in the green room, guys.
Yo!
What's good, bro? How you
Right
doing?
on the
What's going on,
biceps.
guys?
Guys,
All right, everyone's asleep this morning.
real quick, before Access just mind bends me real quick, guys, share this out. Let everyone know where you're getting your morning alpha. After this morning, I watched Jake's whole stream this morning. I just listened to it while I was outside. So I like that it was a little double back to you. This one, guys, share this out. Access, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, man. I just got some eggs, and I took my morning supplements. So I'm feeling pretty good, man. 1 second.
Sounds like a guy.
Sounds
like
you're
a guy I'd take some advice from.
It sounds like
But no, when Jake was talking about identity here, like this is perfect because I got a big stream coming up in a couple of days, and we actually touch on this very thing. And one of the things that people need in their life to like help reformulate and put them in a position of strength is to give themselves a framework by which to work by. So like if you're just like a blank slate every day and you don't have like a certain procedure that you go through or if a certain framework by which to understand your own mind, you're going to struggle in life. So like I'm actually going to do something that I didn't really plan to do today, but I'm actually going to take you guys, if you don't mind, into a slide from the radio presentation that I'm going to be doing later on in the week. And that'll actually be broadcast on 4 separate streams.
Yes, Axis.
But I just want to explain this. I just want to explain what Jake's talking about and hear all three of your guys' feedback, and if it rings true or if it makes sense, why a framework might make sense for you. So
if you want to share the slide in the private chat, I can pull it up on the screen here.
He could
'cause this will be
probably
interesting.
I can share screen too.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he can share a screen. He's used to it.
Okay. This will
see
be
here.
good because people, like what Jake was saying, people identify with things and they don't realize that you're actually a different person than you were yesterday.
Dude, I'm having realizations of this in the moment. Like, there's a lot that I need to learn too. That's why I talk to guys like Jake and Axis all the time. Y'all wonder why I just harass all these guys to talk to them constantly. It's because I need them, and we all are helpful to each other. They have life experience that I didn't go through. I would rather ask them
Let's use
than
this one.
fucking deal with that shit. So what do we got here, Axis? Explain everything you want and kind of work us through this a little.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, if you go full screen.
My stream.
Whoops.
If I go full screen, I'm gonna lose you guys. So this is good though. You just
Okay.
don't look at anything on the left. So what this is here is it's kind of like that framework we were talking about. I'm gonna show you this slide, and then I'm gonna show you a follow-up slide. So this graphic on the right is basically showing this is not the mind part necessarily. This is just life. This is like a life flows. So like when you're born into the world, the first level of foundation by which you stand on is the survival mechanisms of the reptilian brain, and like familiar. And then level 2 would be like familiar relationships and like and safety and open communication between people. So like if you're already missing, financial well-being or physical and mental health on level 1, how can you expect to build a strong foundation and relationships with level 2? It's just there's people as they go through life, they're going to have bits and pieces of all of these 7 levels of life, but like the goal is to like create a good strong base so that so basically you need to, if you're not doing the work to learn about who you are and try to understand your own chemistry, your own DNA, your own blood type, like if you're not doing the work to understand what you are as a human first, how can you expect your life to have good results? You don't understand what you are fundamentally.
Wow.
So your literal chemistry changes. Is it every 7 years every cell in your body is replaced, or is it even more frequent than that? But
It's something like that though. So this is fantastic. What we talk about doing the work, right? So that it can be expressed in different forms for different people. What are some things that you guys do to quote do the work? Because the examples for some of the ways that I learned when I was big into real estate was hearing examples of other people on what they were doing in their real estate realm and how they put in the work or things that they have gone through. So Axis, how do you put in the work for that self-discovery? Because you need to know yourself to be able, like Jake was saying, to pick the direction you're kind of going in your life. You need to understand that. And a lot of people don't have any fucking direction.
Right.
So how do you
I think in the early
why does the learning stop? When does the learning stop?
That's kind of the point, right? So it's like, what stage are you at? Because that's gonna dictate how you get the work done. So like if you you got to put yourself in my shoes for a second. If you had the whole world against you and you took a calculated risk to get into Hex when everybody hated it and didn't want to talk about it, and then you saw that the fruits of your labor become reality for you, and you made a ton of like financial success from that, that's going to shift the way your mind operates, because now you're going to have a certain sense of self over the opposition that you had prior in time. So really it comes from an understanding of time, space, and the human condition that can give you a good foundation for these things. And these are not things that you just learn overnight. For me personally, it took me a long time of building and trying to understand what it meant to be human. But I also have like a super like unique mind type. So like, I don't think there's a lot of people, like most people are going to more resonate to the very simple things like procedurally. I wake up. First thing I do is I weigh myself after I take a shit. Second thing I do is I go and I know what I'm gonna roughly be eating today. But dude, the issue is most of you guys that actually has real problems that are not listening to this stream are eating poorly, and you have inflammation in your brain. So your synapses aren't firing properly, and there's causing blockages and inflammation in your brain and in your tissues. So you aren't even your full self yet. So in order to break through these levels of resistance, you need to start somewhere small, like with a little win every day, right? It depends on how far along you are on the path, right? The path is long and windy. So for me, I'm at the point now where my chemistry is firing every day. My mind is firing every day. I understand my body and how to make it stronger. And because of these things compounding on, like I wake up every day fully vitalized and full of energy and ready to attack because I'm already on a path.
Me too.
So if you have trouble getting on the path, you need to focus on yourself first. It's not selfish to work on yourself. It's selfish for you to give everything that you don't have away because you're pulling those resources from others around you in order to give the perception of you helping others, which really weakens them and weakens you. So it's really just a negative cycle. And people will be altruistic about it, think that they're doing a good thing. You need to preserve your own energy first and become a battery by which you can emanate high vibrations outwardly. Otherwise, you're screwed. You're screwing yourself and you're screwing the people you care about.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jake, it looked like you were about to say something. And when Axis was explaining that and you were like, oh, yeah, I saw the energy changing where you were like more excited. You might have been reading something on the computer or whatever, but did you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the thing I used to do was called the Superhuman Workshop. So I was going through my notes because I have like slides of everything I used to teach. I love what he's going to. So like your body, your synapses, everything, like your physiology is freaking super important. Like these two guys talk about like hormones, dude. If your hormones are wrecked, you are wrecked. Like it's that simple.
And if you knew what it was like to have optimized hormones, you would realize how fucking wrecked you are. I promise you. Because my shit is just like fucking Axis said, firing when I wake up, and I love it, and I can predict it, and it's there every day.
So I have a super powerful framework. So we talked about the alter ego, right? So how do you define an alter ego? So the alter ego is basically a person that you decide on your dream life. So my dream life, for instance, I want to have like 3 home bases, 3 mansions, like 3 different parts of the world. I want to have women everywhere. I want to have multiple families. That's kind of just what I want based on my personality type. And I want to live my absolute all-out life every second of my life. I want to squeeze it. So I kind of, when it comes to the alter ego, you kind of decide on, okay, this type of person is in crypto. This is the type of decisions that he makes. This is his decision-making framework. He's not emotional. He approaches the girl that he likes. He doesn't feel fear. Or if he feels fear, he acts anyway. You think of somebody that is separate to you. Not who you are now, but separate to you. You write down all of his characteristics or her characteristic. And then, here's the thing. This is what fires guys up. You have to imagine that he's your competitor. You have to imagine that he is out to take your girls. That he wants to take your house away from you. He wants to take your money away from you. He wants to take everything you own away from you. And if you don't step up to the plate, if you're not strong enough to compete with him, well, you're going to lose your life. So it brings out that competition vibe. So the alter ego you have, that's the guy that you're competing with. So when you're sleeping and he's not, when you're having sex with your girl, he's having better sex. When you don't approach, he's approaching. When you're working out and you're doing the reps, well, he's going hard. He's doing extra reps. And he's the guy you're going to be competing against every second of every day. And if you don't win, he's going to take everything you ever built in your entire life away from you. So I like that framework because I'm extremely competitive. When I'm like, oh, I don't want to hop on this call, I'm like, he's doing it. And I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm on it. So once you define this alter ego, that is your competition. And you have to be better than him. And you have to see it in your mind. You have to see him. Close your eyes, see him. And see him stealing everything away from you if you don't act. And that's the whole, like, yeah, but it's a mental game. Yeah, exactly. I love it as well.
Sometimes it's hard for me when I'm in a relationship to recreate that vibration.
That's why
I'm going to be 100% honest that I've been trying to work on that. It's hard for me to recreate, and it's possible. Don't get it twisted. I know everything's possible within my own framework, but I still have to learn myself. I'm still learning myself, and I need time. And that's one thing that I have way more reflection on, but I'm done hurting people. Like, I'm done lying to people. I ain't lie to people no more. Like, I used to lie about everything as long as someone would leave me alone. So my vibration, can you touch on that? I think I have no idea if Axis is in a relationship or anything, and I don't know if everyone else does, but do you guys want to comment on that when it comes to the vibration of aggression and entrepreneurial success
Mm.
when it comes to like sexual nature as well, and how those two things kind of relate with you?
Yeah, aren't those like intimately tied together? Like Sam would probably know. Like, dude, your chemistry is dictating your behavior patterns. That's what we're trying to say is when you use like a certain peptide or you use like a certain diet or nutrition plan or exercise plan, those things are driving all of the chemical interactions in because you're just a body. You know what I mean? So like if you want to have strong relationships, the membrane has to be thin enough to allow the energy through. You need to be able to like, if when it comes to entrepreneurial success and aggression, yeah, there's going to be some people that are way more competitive and respond really well to creating this alter ego. And it's actually probably once a person is strong enough in themselves, they can start to project that out and then use that as a framework by which to operate so that they can actually find further success. But there are those that can't even get to that point where they don't have enough self-esteem or they don't, because they never got to level 3. If you pull up this slide again, they never got to the self-esteem level. So like you can't even transform your life until you get to level 4, right? Because you don't have the survival, the basic familial relationships or the self-esteem figured out. You can't transform your life, right? That's level 4. That level 4 comes when you become autonomous and you can create the alter ego. You become accountable to yourself and to others. You find freedom and courage. You are responsible for yourself. And in that place of transformation, innovation can be had, right? And that's all like an alter ego. It works from the transformative place. But if you don't have a positive self-image, if you're not focused on being the best, if you're not productive or you're not efficient because you're using drugs or you're trying to solve problems by fixing a symptom instead of actually curing the root cause of something. Everyone's mindset has to be about cure and then longevity, not about problem like cause and effect. Cause and effect is not the world. Cause and effect is the way the physical world works, but humans are not inherently just physical. Think about any great invention that's ever existed in the history of mankind. It wasn't just something that popped out of thin air, so to speak. It was a vision. It was a non-physical vision that somebody had, that they brought this work down through the higher dimensions of thought and worked it into existence by manifesting it through their hands and through their senses. But that's what makes the human so incredible, is that it's literally a mix between the non-physical realms and the physical realms, and that's very real. Like the code level of TGAC of your DNA, if just broken down to the code level, you can actually transpose that into just simple numbers. And then you can actually find that numbers and abstract reality is actually just as real, if not more real, than manifest cause and effect physical reality. I know it's a lot of big terms because I'm trying to describe to you guys the whole system of nature in the world. But in order to understand that stuff, you need to understand how your mind works first. So like, again, I will go through this in detail on Thursday, but your brain, if you give yourself a framework by which to break your mind up, you can start to understand reality from a whole systems perspective and not a fragmented chemistry, biology, physics, math, English language, like software level code. These are all layers. They're all layers. Let me see if I can find the layer slide here. Hold on one second.
This is
the layers. Look at this is the layers of you. First, there's the earth layer. That's like got all these different layers of sediment. That's the history of all of the physical components of rock that have formed over time that created this electromagnetic body by which our entire existence is permeated off of, right? And then you can have like the human and the type of landscape, different like different levels of how to view or how to perceive that landscape. Now you get like the base map, the imagery, land cover, demographics, which is a human social element, wetlands, which is the water element, topography, which is the vertical scaling of the rock. Then you get the zoning, which is just simply a political structure. Then you get parcels, which is again just more social structure. And then that layer fills into the mother nature. That's all basically under the mother nature layer of this fucking economic cake here. And then you get the love economy, which is like the social bonding of human connection, which really that's where the transformation, why humans are so unique and so special, is that's happening in the love economy, right? And then on top of basically basic human social relationships layer the cake. That's where underground economy, like dark web, like that type of stuff, and then you get the public sector, private sector, and then that works through all these different levels, right? The economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropic, which leads to a circular economy, which leads to the first layers of computers, which starts at bits, frames, packets, segments, data. That gets into the final evolution of that up till this point in human history, which is blockchain, which is the ultimate layer that overlays all these other layers, right?
Jesus Christ.
So, but here's the trick, though. That's all within the framework of the human mind, which is where this slide comes in. So if you can't understand,
it's almost predictable to a degree.
no, because it
human
is and it
nature-
isn't, because the understanding your mind is predictable, but understanding the layers are infinite, right? Because we're going to continually understand reality and the cosmos from deeper and deeper levels, which is going to unlock further understandings of reality, which is infinite. There is no end. End is only there is no end, dude. It's just time is radial. That's the point. Time is not a linear progression from point A to point B. Time is, and I can't wait to share more. I think I should probably stop here because this is probably a good point to pause. But this slide here on mental spheres, it's gonna blow your mind.
And everybody's got a different way of a pair of glasses, if you want to call a perception that they are going to view their language through, where some people are going to connect with what Axis is saying, and that's going to be the path that maybe connects them to allow them to start putting in the work, to start making progress. And other people, there might be something that the way Jake was describing, an alter ego, so to speak, and creating this, that connects with them. But putting in the work and figuring out whatever path is right for you, oh my goodness, is ungodly in terms of the fulfillment and value that you go through by starting the journey of figuring out yourself and what you want in life and how you can go through and create a journey that it allows you to perpetually grow, perpetually learn, and give back, or whatever your path is.
When you were you felt good since you were 14. Am I right by saying that?
Yeah, probably before. Yeah.
So if you feel good, it's gonna build like a momentum, like a snowball. And so it becomes less and less hard because there's less and less resistance to do better for yourself every day. It's not like it gets harder and harder every day. It should get easier because you're going to continually make good decisions, which will make you feel better.
It's just like you can always bring in the hitting on a girl thing because we've all been there, right? It's like when I hit on a girl for the first time, it was the scariest thing I had ever done in my entire life. I could actually give two shits to walk up to any girl and just be like, hey, now, but before it was a monumental task. And it's just for every single task that you do, you just have to master it. Like I think Jake might have said that. It's like there's no thing that I do in my life that I'm not trying to master. I'm not just like whistling flimsy on shit. It's like if I'm doing something, I want to look at everyone and say I'm trying my hardest to be the best at this. Like I'm not going to say I'm the best. I'm just going to say I'm trying my hardest to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
So one of the things that I write down, so I journal every day. One of the things for me, for mine, I'm not, I understand both everybody's perspective because I think it's cool to learn that way. What works for me and is tremendously helpful for my growth is journaling. And I just describe kind of like the alter ego, what Jake is describing, but I'll use different, but I'm just describing myself. So instead of putting it outside of myself, I just describe myself as the alter ego person. Like that's who I am. And I've been doing that for
we're
a
all
while
using
now.
visualization.
Yeah.
We're all using visualization. I think that's the root here. It's
well,
like some of us use it some ways, some of us use it different ways, but really it's all the third eye.
You want to hear some crazy stuff about visualization?
Yes, I do.
So maybe Axis, because he's like very advanced when it comes to this stuff. But when it comes to visualization, there's this technique in visualization. So what a lot of people do is, let's say they want to live like their dream life. So they visualize either the family or like the multiple women or the super yacht and the super car, and they visualize the material things. But here's the thing: what you need to visualize in order to become better, in order to build that new identity. So first you identify the alter ego. It's a second person, and you can step into that alter ego when needed. Now, but he has character traits, or she has character traits that you don't currently have. So the thing that you visualize is not the result, it's the character trait. So you visualize, you close your eyes, and you visualize yourself going into like a sales situation forever, and somebody says no, and then you visualize yourself running through the action, because the action comes from a character, from a certain character trait. Like you don't accept no, which is a dumb one, but let's use the example of like you don't feel like going to the gym. But in the character trait that you have, or the alter ego that you defined, well, he goes to the gym even if he doesn't feel like it. So you visualize not feeling like going to the gym, but doing it anyway. And your brain cannot know the difference between what is happening in your mind and what is happening in the real world. Your physiology fires the exact same. And then also another thing that I kind of want to touch on is, because I think this is going to be very interesting. This changed my mind a lot. There's a 4 M's of momentum. Have any of you ever heard of that? The 4 M's of motivation.
Maybe at one point, but no, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, nobody knows about it, but I heard it and it's really clicked for me. So the 4 M's are mastery, mating, momentum, and money. So mastery, mating, momentum.
Oh boy,
money.
that's good.
That's great.
And everybody has 2 primary ones. And when you look at somebody else, like when somebody looks at me, my 2 primary ones are mating and momentum. I like feeling like I'm constantly in momentum in the zone, and I love women. And that is my motivation. But then when somebody else looks like me and they try to copy my life, they're not optimizing for their 2 M's. For someone, it might be like money and mastery, where they want to get a hell of a lot of mastery and they want to be absolutely freaking amazing at what they do. And if they try to copy what I think is good, they're going to live a very, very depressed life.
Yeah, like if Vitalik, when he was 19, was focusing on women rather than writing Ethereum at that point in his life, that could have been extremely detrimental. But he decided, I'm a nerd. I don't give a. I'm doubling down. He's like, I'm doubling down on code and I'm doubling down on sitting at my desk. I'm sure.
I want to know your guys' 2 M's. What do you think they are?
I'm very non-money motivated as far as if I have money to put into the work that I'm doing, that's all I want. I want money to put into work. And I generally, when I get money, I directly put it into work. Like, so I'm in that time in my life that I'm so new to the financial game that I'm leveraging everything. Like, I don't care. I'm putting money into crypto and this shit, and everyone else can follow.
Yeah, no, I could definitely sense that you're definitely mastery is important to you for sure.
So mastery, and then mating was very important to me, and it becomes important to me if I'm not mating. But I generally am mating in one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, so if I went 2 weeks with no interaction with the female.
So what's motivation or mating, do you think? Or do you think that there's some overlap there?
I think I went through a time where mating was everything, and now I'm kind of like falling out of it, and I'm not sure which one is me yet.
Maybe you had a thing where you tried mastering mating. So mastering.
I did. I spent about $10,000 and did about 5 paid courses. So yes.
What do you think, Sam?
Just like that. So I guess that kind of shows me and Jake are very similar in the way that we get information. I'm willing to pay someone for information right now. If someone has information that I know I don't have, and I know that they have, I will immediately make that transaction and start getting that. I don't care what the price is usually, because unless it's ridiculous, you know what I mean? I've taken $800 courses, $3,000 courses. Some of them sucked. Some of them were great. Some of them changed my life forever. And some of them changed my life at the time. And I don't agree.
Reminded me of a course I took when I was in middle school.
Yeah. And it's been, I always did that, everyone, and that's how I got information. I just begged guys that were smarter than me until these paid courses on YouTube started coming out, and I was like, there's a couple real guys in here doing real work, and I got a hold of them. And so I think for me, it's just like I need to wake up in the morning with a mission. I just need a mission. If I don't have a mission, I feel dead, just dead. Like I feel like I have no purpose as a male. What am I doing here? I need to do something hardcore every day.
I can't even imagine you as anything else, man. I only know you as this. Oh, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I've never used the 4 M's, but I live like for myself. I have a framework that I use, and it's 4 pieces, and it's not in any sequential order. Like one's better than the other one or anything in a type of hierarchical, order, but it's relationships, physical, mental, and physical, mental, and financial. So those are those 4 areas that I like to make progress in.
So if you had to pick 2 of those that were more important to you, like if you just had to, obviously you wouldn't. which ones would you rather allocate most of your time to? Obviously, financial would have to be there because you can't not work.
I tried to distill that down to less than 4 things, and it was really challenging for me to do because those 4 areas are super important for me. When I define mental, right? So that's the working on myself.
True.
When I define the physical, that's super, super, super important to me. The relationships. I like talking to people that stimulate me where I come away from that conversation and I'm more excited, right? And
So you almost use it as a battery. Like you almost use people as like an energy source sometimes. Like, you know, you'll get a little jazzed up if you talk to someone about something cool. And
but it's also like, I got a call yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful call. Buddy calls me and he's like, "Hey, Sam, I know you're busy. I just want to call you, say hi quick. And that I really appreciate you helping me and like just supporting me." And literally it's just like when other people are going through stuff, like Access was mentioning this, like when you do shit like perpetually for a long period of time, it just gets easier to do. And he's like, "I don't have a lot of people in my life who just support whatever's going on, and they're just supporting and trying to help like, I don't need shit. I'm good. Like, you don't need to give me anything. I'm happy as fuck every day anyway." Right. So when I got that call, it's a beautiful thing to me. And I don't like
those. Love that shit. I'll tell you.
I do. I love it because it's so rewarding once you start getting those things and people say that they started to make, he's like, it's helping in his relationship.
We did an AMA in the fitness challenge and Sam almost started crying because he just felt inspired about whatever the guy was saying at the time, you know, and he was like, "I feel so emotional right now." And I was like, wow, Sam's really feeling emotional right now. And he was just experiencing something in that moment. And I was like, holy shit, like this dude literally can go see his family now and he could not leave his bed or whatever. That, you know, there's a couple of those. I can't remember which one it was. And you know, it's just weird, man. You find in a world full of superficial, absolute garbage, there is a lot of good people, but it's not easy to cipher through all these good people. So when you find people that you really like Axis and Jake, like I like to make those relationships last and work beneficially for both parties because I want people like them around. I want guys, I hate being around people that suck. It like drains my shit.
Life is a game of attrition. So like if you look around and the people you're around are unhealthy, chances are you're going to be the last man standing. So like I just try to put myself around people like Sam that's going to outlive me by like 50 fucking years.
Let's hope Access, that's a great point, and I'm sure that you guys have all noticed this as well. So right, I have those 4 areas that are important to me. Everybody's got their own that is important to them, right? The financial, relationships, mental, physical health. I want to make progress in all 4 of those things by the microscopic amount every single day for the rest of my life until I die. All 4 of those areas is the only thing I need to focus on. That encompasses everything that's valuable to me. Mm-hmm. When you find those things for you, whatever those things are, and you define what that is in your financial to make progress, right? When it is in your relationships, that's intimate, that's family, that's friends, all that, like what types of things you can provide and give value in those relationships. When it's the mental things that you need to focus on to improve your life. When it's the physical things you need to focus on. You become a magnet. And I'm not trying to say like I'm fucking special by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying that people are attracted to you because you're focused on what's important in your life and they're not focused on what's important in their life. And when they see that in other people, they're drawn to that naturally. They want to be around. They want to talk to that person.
So yeah, that's part of the law governing whole system. Like, so I want to use Sam as an example because he's here so when he got emotional on that call because he's changing people's lives, what's actually happening on the societal level there is he's fully integrating and assimilating in with his highest purpose. That's why that's an emotional reaction for his body system, because it's the full fulfillment of his life, his whole 30+ year life leading up to that point. And it's all coming to a nodular point in time space. And it's significant because time is a key component to understanding what this life on earth is all about. So it's all about frequency and energy. So like when he says that people can be magnetized to you, that's actually like physically literally true, because your thoughts carry a certain electrical charge the same way your brain has a charge, the same way the earth has a charge, the same, you know, all these systems are integrated, and they can only be fragmented by the human window pane by which you look through. They're not fragmented in reality. That's just an artificial framing that you're giving it because you're human and you're not fully understanding the absolute nature of yourself and where you are in the universe. But as that becomes fulfilled in the case of Sam and his experiences lately, then that is actually creating this emotional discharge of release of energy that actually shifts and changes and alters the timeline by which Earth moves forward. That's how hugely important to creation humanity is.
It's
right?
crazy that you said it was his like true purpose, because it kind of was. Like, it was directly bodybuilding related, which is basically the majority of your like life. You've always been doing that. Yeah, you've always done that. You've always coached that. You've always been on the cutting edge of that. And in that moment, it was like we were doing all this stuff, crypto in the morning, but it was just like we were directly helping these guys with literal like save your life shit. Like
that's so much more meaning, like impact. So if you talk about impacting, like for me, like yes, I GRC knows about some cool things that I'm doing, like on the financial side of stuff for business wise and other stuff. That's super exciting, but it's more impactful to me when it's like it clicks for somebody, whatever it is, and they start making progress. I'm like what Access was saying about like. It sounds heady and hard for sometimes for people to put that together. Like, hey, this world's moving faster or growing at a more enlightened rate or quicker pace, right? But it's possible because we can all do this. Every single one of us.
Most people just need like examples so they can understand it. So like, if you just take it, like most people are so rooted in physical manifest reality that it's hard for them to grasp all these really big concepts. But if you just boil it down to just the computer level, so like, because everyone understands computers, so like the rate at which data can be transmitted today is at all-time highs. So that means that literal communication can happen at the speed of light, which is the fastest thing known to man, right? Supposedly.
Except for space. Space can actually travel faster than light because light has to travel through space.
Actually, but actually, you're onto something key, which is once you understand space and time, you actually understand that mind is limitless in its speed at which it can operate. Because it's an expansion contraction cycle. So it's like a sine wave. I know I'm getting really fucking deep now, but this is what the frequency energy is. It's literally just a sine wave that speeds up and slows down in relation proportions to your own ability to process and cognize those thoughts, because all that really exists is thoughts. Again, an inventor pulls down through the thought stream an invention and then manifests it into the physical world. It's non-physical first, becomes physical later.
Apple,
so like
Tesla,
use people's examples. Use Tesla, use Apple, use Steve Jobs, and how remember everyone said Steve Jobs was an asshole. Well, he was an asshole because he was trying to create the impossible. He literally created the impossible, you guys.
You're so right.
Dude, it's all tied in. Dude, this is it's a evolutionary cycle where the whole species is at once going superluminal. I mean, superluminal's faster than light. So like our social connections are instant, and they can cross the entire expanse of the entire space of the universe. You can know that somebody's there.
Real quick, guys. Jerry Oaksmith, thank you guys for the hard work. $25 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. We have Dip Catcher, Crypto Graphics, Crypto Gains Club, Hex Siren, Gold Ticket Holder, Ruskino, Hex Boy, Bob Lagai, everyone in the chat, Stephen Thomas, and thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to drop the link one more time, and if you guys want to go over to Twitter, actually, I'll drop Crypto Graphics link because that's a fresh one. So Crypto Graphics tweeted us out. Go ahead and share that.
Thanks,
Crypto Graphics, win stream, Dip Catcher, win stream.
You know what really helped me, because Access is going super in depth on like the actual like implementation of everything. But I feel like the way I kind of internalized the way that he's thinking, because I went into all of that stuff as well. But the way you're explaining it, like, dude, it's going over people's head. Like it's super advanced stuff. I like it. I 100% like it.
But
so
here's
the way I kind of started.
Yep. I'll let you go.
I like your
internalizing that is basically I stopped identifying as a physical being, and I started identifying as a spiritual being. A spiritual being is pure energy, and pure energy can go into any situation and anything at any moment in time. and can expand. Energy is unlimited. There is no limit to energy. It can go there, it can go here. And the person that kind of is a perfect example of this is Grant Cardone. This guy is extremely spiritual. It's insane how spiritual this guy is. Yeah, he's like, I can even communicate with my team just through my thoughts. I don't need to send them a message. He's like at that level of like spirituality. And that way of thinking, like I'm not a physical being. I think all social constructs that are man-made. I try to question everything. Also, this idea that people have to get tired. I don't believe in that. You're a spiritual being. Spiritual being is energy. How does energy ever run out of energy? Does a flame ever run out of fire? No, it doesn't. But yet, because everybody agrees on this tired thing, everybody gets tired because it's normal. But who decided on that? Exactly. So I want to get like a question mark tattooed somewhere on my, like, I think my right hand, because the way I started changing my life is I started thinking and questioning about everything. Like somebody is like, oh, you shouldn't do that, but why? Oh, you should be tired. Aren't you tired? But why should I be tired? Why are you saying that? So why should I be afraid to approach that girl?
Well, that's a big one. The tired one is a big one for people.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason you're tired is the thing that Axis said. If your body is weak, so you can, and he also talks about this idea of like pulling thoughts out of space. That's the thing they talk about in reality transurfing. They call it the universal archive. It's an amazing thought. And you can only become a spiritually complete being if you have a clean body and you have a clean soul. You get to a clean soul to spirituality work, and you get to a clean body to like optimizing your hormones, optimizing sleep, taking your supplements, making sure that you're sufficient in everything, and working out. That, and once you have a clean body and a clean soul, it is insane how much power you believe you can have. So it's the idea of, okay, spiritual being can expand into anything at any moment, at any point in time. There is no limit to a spiritual being. I truly believe that we are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience.
So Wayne Dyer saying, I think Wayne Dyer talks about that, and with the tired thing, like I that's 100%. I in the way that I see the world, that's 100% true, and I think what could potentially be valuable takeaways, practical things that people could maybe do or try to implement if they think it's an intelligent strategy, is like I used to go take afternoon naps because I thought it was fun, and like I was like, oh, I'm tired. And today I'm like, oh my God, I have so much energy. Like my cousin or my sister's kid, so it's my nephew or something, 7 years old, abundant amount of energy, and everybody else is like, I'm tired. I'm like, let's go, boy. Like I'm fucking ready to go all day. And it's doing things that provide that fuel, right? You were talking about the flame. Why does the flame go out? Because it runs out of fuel. It doesn't have more wood to burn. So what do you need to do to add fuel to your fire so that you can burn hotter, you can burn bigger, you have an abundance, you get up and throughout the whole day, you just have so much energy ready to go.
But Sam, one thing you're leaving out is that you've mastered sleep, something that no one can master.
True. Procedural stuff.
Sam,
Yes.
have you mastered sleep? Would you say you have? Do you sleep well almost every night?
It's actually an opportunity for me to get better. It is
So you actually have some wishes for better sleep.
I've optimized it more than the 97% of the people have, but I still you see things that other people are not going to see. Just like Jake has done stuff and he's a master in that area, and because of the nuance in the experience that he's had, he sees shit that I won't see because I don't have the experience that he has. Axis has the abundance of experience in this one area. Noobs or even people with 1, 2, 3 years of experience can't see what I see in the gym or when I'm working out because they don't have 20 fucking years of lifting and 20 years of talking to people and 20 years of like all this experience. So in the sleep realm, I've probably done more progress or thought in that direction, but I still see things. Okay, well, let's
two points to that. Like Sam, when you finally get tired in a day for just a split second, I bet you $50. I'm just gonna take a guess. You distract yourself by moving on to the next thing, and then that feeling of tiredness is gone. It's just fucking gone, right? Yeah. Because it's all.
I try to take as much action as possible.
Yeah, you just keep going, and then that little sliver of that 20-minute window where you actually had you needed a recharge, you just push through that little bit, and then it's an exponential curve of energy on the other side of the activity.
Titanium.
Mm-hmm.
But
then, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say to Jake's point, like Jake made a lot of good points there about spirituality and physicality, and like if you can like break down your understanding of what's going on here into like a triple universe model, and just understand that there's really just 3 universes that you're moving through. One is like the physical world, one is like the moral, like the physical universe, one is like the moral universe. So like your decisions and your divine will is like I'm going to either do good or do bad in the world. That ethics and moral conduct and that stuff is like what drives the types of decisions you're going to make. That's also where you can pull the most energy from. Because if you feel like you're doing something for somebody else, there's a certain energy output and reciprocation that happens between you and another, which is a recharging effect, versus like negative, which is the other way of the moral universe, which is like you're fully only filling your own plate, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And there's a need for both, because just as if the earth spins and goes between a sunny day and a dark night, if without the dark night, the sun would burn the plants away, and without the sun, the plants wouldn't be allowed to grow. So like you need the cycle of dark and light in order to create harmony in this universe. So that's just a natural consequence. So in humans, that manifests in the form of the moral universe. And then the third universe is the imaginal universe, which is like, again, where innovation, invention comes from. It's where like it's where all the archetypes, like you probably have like the different types of people in your life that you look up to. Like one is like the stoic, one is like the jokester, one is like, and these are like the types of people in your life. And with that, in the imaginal universe, which is a product of the mind, is there's like the dreaming and altered states. It's cognitive, so like science and learn and understandings, and so I guess like just to summarize all those points, the body is the sense faculty of the world. That's the cause and effect world. That's like you have to listen to your chemistry, you have to listen to your sleep, you have to work out, you have to do nutrition. That's the physical phenomenal world. Then the second universe is the soul, is the sense faculty of the divine will. That's where you make your decisions from. That's where you're going to pull the most energy from, because it's not a physical source of energy. And energy, it's a divine will source of energy. And then the third universe is the imagination, is the sense faculty of the mind, right? So that's the place where you start to get like mental things to grab onto, so that you can start to create frameworks, concepts. You can understand deeper sciences. You can understand ideas at a deeper scale and a bigger scale. And then all these things really formulate your life.
That's interesting, that framework of the physical, the right and the wrong, which my right and wrong is going to be different than each one of you guys. It's probably going to be very similar in many, many, many different ways, but there's going to be a right and wrong because we have different goals. So the not as in like you should shoot this person, you should not shoot this person. It's like my goals are going to be different than Jake's, as we've talked about, different than Access and different than GRC. So the direction I go is not right for somebody else. And then going into like that spiritual or I think you called it the imaginary or something like that. That's an interesting framework. I like that. The way you actually
it can be expanded on.
Yeah. Which I'm going to get into a lot more detail on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
So, this has been an awesome conversation, guys.
I kind of want to end off with something. So there's this saying that, so when we say you don't get tired, and it's all based on social constructs. Oh, you haven't slept a lot, so you should be tired. Like, so I've trained myself to literally be able to talk myself into energy. And there's this saying that when there is a problem in the mind, whether that be depression, anxiety, fear, doubt, when there is a problem in the mind, you solve it through the body. You get into your body, you start moving, you do a couple of push-ups, you focus on your breath, you get water into your body. That gets rid of those emotions instantly. And then when there is a problem in the body, you solve it through the mind. When you break your arm, you go to a doctor, they logically think about it, they fix your arm. But a lot of people don't see it that way. They see their mind and body as two disconnected things. But when you're feeling emotions, you fix it through the body. You move your body, you get your blood flow going, you get enough water into your system, you focus on your breath work, and that will heal almost anything in the entire world. Almost anything. It's, problem in the mind, you solve through the body. Problem in the body, you solve through the mind. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super important. I like that. And that's very important to like, because you can use both of those pieces at the same time as well. Because they're distinct, but at the same time, you can operate them at the same moment in time. Like one of the things that I'm personally working on doing more of, because I find it tremendously valuable. the power of 98% of
Nice.
98% of haters are just dehydrated.
Actually.
or horny, or like like they either frustrated or their nutrition and hormone profile is horrible.
When somebody starts saying something foolish, you just be like, "Hey man, do you need a bottle of water?"
I love it.
You need some milk?
With that, but one of the things that I'm personally working on right now in my life is recognizing those moments during the day to just be present, right? Like whether it's recognizing the breath, right? So because like I'll be doing things and I feel like I'm excited because I'm thinking about something, but I'm literally not even slightly paying attention to the reality of this physical moment. And so I'm getting better and better at recognizing that to just breathing in for that one breath that I just took, and I feel the sensation on the inside of my mouth, right? And how many times do you go through your day or even a conversation with somebody, and you have a conversation with somebody and you are not actually having a conversation with somebody, because then it's like, what is presence? Is it you physically there? Like clearly that's not the answer. It is where you are here, right? Where you are mentally. And so recognizing that and bringing that into my daily, like minute by minute, my moment by moment, is what I'm working towards, so that every single day I can bring myself back into those times. Because if I do what Axis was saying, if there are moments where there's, I don't even really feel like I yawn that much anymore. But if there was a period of time where I was yawning, I try to recognize, do what I just did, and bring myself back into the moment of what I'm doing, because I tend to be doing something that I'm probably not doing, that doesn't create that energy that like allows me to continue burning faster and faster. You guys all have probably heard, I'm sure Jake has heard this, but just by the way you've been talking about things, that, oh, you're burning a candle from both ends. Because that's like a limited supply of energy, right? They're like, oh, hey, man, I don't know if that's a phrase that you hear over in Europe, but it's a phrase that like anybody who likes to accomplish things or who is ambitious or has a lot of energy, they're like, oh, you're burning the candle from both ends. And you're like, well,
And how do those stories always end?
Yeah, some people always told me when I
They
started,
always
don't
end bad.
do it every day. Don't do it every day. You're gonna do that. I was like, that's exactly why I'm doing it.
There's a healthy way to have an infinite energy source, and then there's the burning the candle at both ends way, and one of them doesn't end up well.
I'll tell you what, I sleep like a baby, and I go to bed almost at a very similar time every single day.
That goes back to preservation, Jim Rat. Talk a little bit about that, maybe.
Well,
preserving your energy.
Yeah, like when it comes to this stuff, I'm way more practical on this front, just because it'll help so many people that are just like a little bit this going over their head a little bit. Like I could fix most people's lives 50% better just by fixing their sleep. Because once I fixed my sleep, I actually had some built-in sleep problems. Just like I just didn't sleep well. My nose was all fucked up. I would always like breathe hard out of my mouth, and my blood. And I was a little bit heavier back in the day. So I just didn't sleep well. If I was with a girl, she'd always say, you make noises like when you're sleeping a little bit. And I always put that in the back of my head, like, maybe one day I'll get that checked out. Nobody gets their sleep checked out until they got their money, right? So that took me about 25 years. And then I figured out, from Derek, More Plates, More Dates. Thank you, Derek, one of the most comprehensive, amazing people that have ever entered the internet. You fixed my sleep. Thank you so much. I learned enough from him and leveraging the pharmaceutical industry to get on some drugs to help me sleep short term, which then let me on a path to being able to like natty sleep. And it be in the darkest room you possibly can, a little bit colder than normal if you have trouble sleeping. Like most people don't sleep proper at all. And I think a lot of the problems in the world come from the negligible effects, like the accumulative effects of like a lot of that being like their wake up and sleep cycle, because they wake up at 2 a.m. and take a piss and look at their computer again. And then they go back to bed, and you do that over and over and over again. And you're no longer in a rhythm. You're off rhythm. You're off beat. Like, and my whole thing is like, I like to stay in a rhythm, but I just think people need to focus on the stuff that's so easy to focus on for free.
I agree.
It's for free to sleep right. It's for free to learn that. It's on the internet. You need to sleep. Like Sam says, and all these guys say like, yeah, sleep's not important as much to them because they're fucking units and they fucking sleep all right probably most of the time, or a little bit, you know. Everyone is a little worse than other, or their nutrition's really good, or something what they're doing is way better than most people. So most people are just really bad at everything like that. So you just at the baseline, getting your sleep will change your life, and then you can work from there, because that's just like a freebie. Like that's your sleep. I think people need to focus on their sleep.
There's so many things to do. Let's everybody go through and maybe give one or two closing thoughts here on some things that are super important that you're working on. Because it's cool to tell people about like what to do or what they might work for them and that kind of thing. But I think it's also super valuable to share what you're currently working on and share what you are maybe like struggling with or that kind of thing. So if each one of you guys wants to share one thing that you're working on or struggling with, if you feel comfortable sharing that. The one thing that I'm doing right now is that the being present and focusing on that. It's definitely something that I'm struggling with. I've gotten so much better from like 6 months ago, but still a tremendous opportunity for me to get better in those moments. Because then you don't sit there in that conversation and not be there for 25 minutes. Because I recognize it and I bring myself back. So that is one thing that I'm currently working on, and that I don't know if I'd say I struggle with it, but it's just more of an opportunity for me there. Does anybody else have another one that they want to do?
I have a struggle that I've been dealing with for about 7 years, basically, maybe even longer, actually. I've always been disconnected from my family's always been super, and when I say family, I mean like the people that raised me, brought me into this world, and then like extended family even have I've been going through these phases of I won't really be involved in their life for like extended periods of time. And then I will come back, and like there's always like the yearly, holiday traditions and stuff that brings you back together. But to just take that a step further and be more involved in their lives was always like a struggle for me, because I had not yet found myself. And these people are all very successful, very well off people. And so it was hard for me to be around them because we didn't have common ground to stand on, even though they raised me and brought me into this world. So over time, I've actually found that by surrendering to that and fulfilling some promises to myself, and then just being present with them more oftenly and more frequently, that their lives and my life are actually improving, like in substantial, real ways, just by being connected more.
Absolutely.
Well, dude, that's beautiful. That's awesome. And I feel like that's always an opportunity, because maybe it's the girlfriend or the other person that you're around, and you can help them grow faster by being more present with them in that conversation. Jake, do you have something that you're maybe working on or struggling with right now?
Yeah. So the thing I don't even like saying I am struggling, because that's building an identity. So I have the tendency
that's why I had to change that. When I said opportunity, I said struggling, and then I had to change it.
You said I'm struggling, and I'm like, get that shit away from me. So I have a tendency to not move fast enough. So I'm training myself to be a lot more resourceful. Resourceful being I make do with whatever I've got. So I'll give you an example. This YouTube channel, I actually was planning on kind of starting this after PostChain was launched. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I just started talking to myself, and I was like, okay, how about you stop being a pussy? Why do you need all of this money all of a sudden to like feel good enough to talk? Because I've done extremely well before PostChain was even a thing. And I'm not a Hex OG. I made like $0 off of Richard Hart. But
it's important to note that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to note that, because you love these products. So clearly you just researched a lot, and you're really excited about the future of this shit.
Yep. So my thing that I'm training myself on is to make faster decisions, because I'm starting to tackle this idea that, we could all be dead tomorrow. This could all happen. This could be gone next week. This could be gone next month. We're all gonna die. We get one shot at this life. So why not get it done end of day? Why not get it done end of hour? Why does it have to take a month? Why does it have to take a year? Like, just if you think so, I think Hormozy was the one that opened me up to this idea. When you think of a god, an omnipotent being, it's basically as he thinks, it happens. And the more you delay thinking and doing, the more of a depressed life you live. If you want to become more important. Yep. If you want to become closer to God, if you want to feel more like a god on earth in like like a humble way.
It's literally what Sam and I said too about being present in the moment. Like if you act as the thoughts present themselves,
Yep.
you get more in alignment with that, which is, again, I'm going to also add in here another layer, which is it's not an accident that Hex is the thing that brought us all together. Like,
No way.
monetizing time and bringing it into the physical world in such a way, like, it really does, that'll align all these super smart people. And like, most of us don't even really fully comprehend the implications of it yet, but yeah, it's amazing, but it's also making us delay gratification and really be present now to build the ecosystem out right now together with our different areas of expertise. So yeah, I don't think any of this is an accident. I think there's some sort of otherworldly thing going on here with Hex.
Super great.
I always
point.
say that. I always say that shit.
Jake, did you have anything else on that you wanted to touch on real quick?
Yeah,
Or-
so the
that was
other
good.
last thing I wanted
Right.
to say is one thing I'm focusing heavy on, and I have been doing that for the last 4 years, and my life has become incredible because of it. Because of my personality type, I'm very in tune with energy. So I'll give you a very personal example. Like when I have like, how do you say, when I get intimate with a girl that is like a bad girl or a slut, whatever you want to call it, I literally feel my energy being drained. I don't like it.
Me too.
I only like building relationships with like very good girls that have healing energies. And a lot of people have this saying where you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I like filtering that because nowadays we live in a digital society. So you become the average of the 5 people you consume information about, and you become the average of the 5 energies you surround yourself with. So if you're listening to negative energy online, you're absorbing it into your energy field. So I mute people on Twitter. I literally delete songs off of my playlist if there's like bad, struggling kind of lyrics in it. I control what goes into my environment and into my energy field, and that's why I'm like on this winning energy, because that's the only thing I consume. And even girls, I'm like, dude, I don't like your energy. Get away from me. So you have to protect your energy, and you have to protect what you put into your mind, because that essentially becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can add to that, so basically what he's trying to say also from another angle is that, like I said earlier, words carry a charge. So like when I say language spells, like you spell words, but that also, to cast a spell or to spell a word or like to spend time is the same as paying attention. You're spending and you're paying time and attention, right? So the words themselves are really just vibratory complexes. So like your vocal folds create certain sounds, and then your brain decodes them as words. So this energy that's penetrating your ears and penetrating your brain, the real communication is only going on in the synapses of your brain. So you are the true driver of the way the information is handled, right? Because this is just sound waves, energy waves hitting your brain. And so to spell a word and to cast a spell are the same thing. And you can cast good spells or you can cast bad spells. Like, and this all ties back into money too, right? Because like current means now, but current is also a current of energy, or like current is now in time, or currency is money, which is the reflection of energy and time input, right? So all of this language stuff is actually overcomplicated, overcomplexified layers of society that breaks away from the true nature, which is telepathic communication. Like a mother and a baby communicate not through words, right? That's a primal. That's something that's built into you as a human that has been processed and relegated for thousands of years. You're not just going to take that away with words. So like, why not fall back on the true nature of us, which is telepathic by nature, and really fundamentally understand that so we can really truly create a better world.
I love
This
that.
is good stuff, G. Holy crap.
And that actually made me think of one more point in GRC, and then I want to hear what you're working on right now, or that you see as an opportunity. But I went through a period of time, and I probably would still do it if it came up in my mind. But if there was certain things that I thought were like, pulling, that I self-created, and it was holding me back in some capacity, you were talking about this, Axis, and it reminded me of, I will like go through and journal, and I will rewrite the history of what this meaning is to myself. So you, Sam, you say that this is whatever issue, frustration, energy you don't like, that is this. Well, why don't you go fucking change it? You're the author, right? You're the one in charge. You can go do this, and then take that and write down with excruciating detail what it is currently, and then what it is now. There's another way that you can actually see this. There's another point of view that you can take on this exact thing that has the outcome that you want by just changing the definitions of how you see fucking reality. And it's beautiful. It's awesome, awesome, awesome thing. GRC, what is something that you're currently working on?
Building this channel.
Well,
creating connections, dude. You've helped me so much already.
Well, to be honest, this channel would be the least on that list as far, because this is so easy for me because I like it so much.
Why is easy less impactful for you?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Hello. We were just talking about resistance.
Right. No, there's the the thing that I'm working on in my day-to-day life the most would probably be just being organized. Like, the more it's hard to say. There's so many things that I try to work on a daily basis. One thing that I definitely suck at is relationships. If I'm going to be quite clear, I struggle talking to my family about personal stuff. I'm getting better with a female about talking about really deep stuff, but that's new. And so I can talk to a girl now and be completely honest and like truthful and just talk to them and not feel. But
so that's not sucking, man. That's progress.
No, I know. Yes, but the thing with the family, I'm still working on. Although that works on itself as long as everyone's being respectful, but being more impactful to the family in a positive way. Although I'd like to think that I'm already a positive impact. And then just working on the channel. Yeah, shooting for the stars, baby. Every day is a box of chocolates, baby. I love it. I wake up every single day and I'm like, I could do anything I want. I'll be Joe Rogan's replacement. I don't give a fuck. Like I will be. Like I'll start because I'm a big UFC fan, and I was thinking about doing a separate page just to cover the pre-fight, and then like doubling it back with some gambling information. Not that I gamble anymore, but I know a lot about gambling. But anyway, so I was talking yesterday about like fucking I want to be courtside of every UFC fight for free. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want.
You can create that, dude.
And I can create those terms. I can and I will. You know what I mean? And I say that to myself. I've always manifested everything that I've ever wanted. And I never thought I'd get this far. And it happened in 28 years. And I already have everything that I've ever wanted. So now it's all freebie. It's just like I didn't think I'd make it to this point or have the life that I exactly wanted. Because everyone told me that's not how it works. And after 28 years, I just said, this is how it works for me. I just won't talk to anyone. Until I find friends like you guys, until I had to isolate myself completely for about 100 days.
Hey, did you, Sam and Jake, probably Sam not, but Jake, did you go through a point of solitude where you were alone for a long time to build yourself up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because nobody can relate to you.
No one.
And then once you get to like you would say like a certain vibration, and I would say the same thing. Once you get to a certain vibration, none of it happens by accident. You start attracting the right people. Mm-hmm. It's freaking. So I'll give you one example. So when I was traveling the world, when I kind of hit that semi-retired mark, it's funny. So I had 12 dates in a row, and guess what? You all heard of this book like Reality Transurfing, right? I've heard it. I've mentioned it on so many streams. I have like 7 tattoos about it. So I was reading this book. I was like my 8th or 9th time going through it. I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to implement everything from this book. So I arrived in a new country. I set like dates, and I was kind of like going on dates, And literally 12 dates in a row, every single one of those girls read the book Reality Transurfing. Try explaining that. How do you explain that?
Dude,
even you guys
are on another level.
I've never heard of this book before.
It changes life. It changes your life.
Dude.
It's insane.
He can't even talk. He's like,
this is all going back to like living your higher purpose and being perfectly in sync with nature. Like that's why things are happening for you guys that are really emotional and really hard to put into words.
Yeah, no, for real. Like I can't stop. I'm kind of emotional just thinking about like that I made it out of that. Like I just made it out of whatever hell I was in, like created by myself or whatever. Like
circumstances, probably a lot of it.
I never thought, yes, but
it's never just on one person, right?
Well, I was just fed lies, and I
Aren't we all?
Yeah,
like it's a giant constantly sifting through piles of shit.
The pharmaceutical industry almost took GRC out.
This is why I fucking love coming on with you guys. because
yeah.
because you've dealt with the experience, like you've actually been through this stuff, and now you have such an important message to share.
For
You know?
6 years straight, I did not drink or smoke weed. I don't think I had sex, not by choice. And, well, you know, I probably had sex a little bit, but no like steady girlfriend or anything, lonely by myself in a halfway house with 12 grown heroin addicts for a year, for 2 years straight. And I loved it. I'm not going to fucking front. Like once I got my head situated after 90 days and my shit was all firing again, I was like, this is great. After my depression and stuff, you know, figured some of that stuff out, got off some of the medication. Couple years there where I was just like isolating myself, depressed, but I knew if I isolated myself, it didn't really matter. Like, you know what I mean? In a way, I was like, if I don't let this energy leave, it doesn't really impact anyone, and I can focus on it and think about it from another perspective. And that's when I started researching chemicals, and I figured out how to cure my depression chemically with the things that my doctors would not talk about unless I brought it up. The drug that I take now that I like, it's called bupropion. It's not for everyone, and I don't recommend anyone ever take any drugs ever. But it changed my life, and I researched and spent thousands of dollars to figure out that information that my doctor should have been able to tell me. That's a normal ass drug that is sold, and it was in the category of the diagnosis that I was bullshitting them about, really. But like, you know what I mean? So I just found out that I can do it all myself, but I'm also very resourceful, and I don't do things that I suck at, period. I don't do them. I'm not going to fucking do stuff that wastes my time because it's going to take me 10 years to get good at it, and my buddies are all good at it already. I'm just like, I'll just get them to do it. And if they don't want to do it, then I'll present them with a value proposition. And then I'll help you if you help me. Okay, cool. There it is, guys.
It works for me.
Yeah, guys, this has been like, oh my gosh, this has been really good. Like emotion. I don't even been reading chat too much. Like this has been really,
the chat
really
is loving
good.
it.
The amount of value that was laid out today is probably hard to quantify. But like if you know somebody that's get affected by these things and you think there was a message in here that you can share with them, then share the stream.
That's tremendously impactful.
Smash the like, hit the subscribe button, guys. All the links are below. If you want to donate, there's an address below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I do everything. And I'm getting better, guys. You know, I'm having a transition period where I'm thinking about a couple of different things, and I don't know how it's all going to come out, but I'll never stop doing the show every day. That would never happen. And I might not be on the show every day, but the show will be running every day. So guys, thank you so much. This episode has been incredible. Axis woke up. He told us his dreams. Then he came on 20 minutes later to drop bombs. And Jake, come on, man. You've been doing this stuff. You've traveled all over the world. It's life experience that I'm attracted to because it just has a value proposition to it. The dudes have seen more. They've done more. They've interacted more. They know more. They've had more nuanced experiences, which is very hard to extrapolate how much value is in people that actually do shit, because most people don't do nothing. Bullshit. Guys, remember, you can fix all the problems in your life if you focus really hard and are resourceful. I've done basically everything on this stream for free, and I created it, and it wasn't very expensive. I'm sure I could have spent more, but you know what I mean. You can do anything you want. You're just not being resourceful enough, and you're not trying hard enough. And that's okay if you have other shit you're doing. Guys, what a great show. Thank you.
Yes. This has been great. We'll wrap up with some DeFi proof.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Heart. Richard Heart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. out and get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Heads I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Girl flexing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart.